All right, you guys, I'm just curious if you had to choose which one of these most scary hotels in the world would you choose?
These hotels have earned a reputation for being the scariest places in the world, strange sightings and unexplained phenomenon. So brace yourself, because it's time for the top 15 most scary hotels in the world. Number 15. The Stanley Hotel, Colorado. If your friend or partner told you that they booked the Stanley Hotel for your Colorado vacation, then you probably wouldn't even bat an eyelid and would happily go along with the plan. If they told you that they booked the hotel from The Shining, on the other hand, then you might suddenly have a second thought, because that's exactly what we're talking about here. The place that inspired Stephen King to create the horrific Overlook Hotel and all the demonic entities which dwelt within. But it's not just Stephen King fans who have trouble sleeping in this place, because the Stanley Hotel has plenty of its own ghosts to worry about. This 140-room colonial revival hotel has a variety of things that qualify it for our scary hotels list. First of all, there's the staircase in the lobby, which has been nicknamed the Vortex. Guests report cold spots or feeling dizzy when they're on these stairs, as if something has passed through them.
My goodness.
And the founders of the hotel, Mr. and Mrs. Stanley themselves, have been seen hand in hand watching over the guests. Not only that, but the late Mrs. Stanley was also known to play the piano in the concert hall well into the night, which is also the location for Paul, a spirit who frequently tells the guests to get out. And it all goes on and on and on. Children can be heard running around giggling on the fourth floor. A ghostly cowboy has appeared to ladies and given them a kiss. A small child named Billy shows up in photographs taken in the ice house. And the spirit of a gray cat can be stalking around the hotel's pet cemetery, all of which make the Stanley Hotel the perfect choice to start off our list with a bang, or maybe a scream.
All right, let's be honest here. I definitely could stay at this one. It doesn't seem scary at all. And then plus, if you go back and watch those scary movies at The Shining, how ridiculous does it look right now? If you watch it, yeah, it was probably scary back then, but now when you watch it, it just looks pretty goofy. Saying. So this one I would do.
Number 14. Hotel Chelsea, New York City. The Chelsea Hotel has played host to a number of writers, musicians, artists, and actors over the years, but as terrifying as the prospect of spending time with certain writers, musicians, artists, and actors might be, that's certainly not while it's appearing on this list of scary hotels. No, it's got more to do with the murders and ghosts. First of all, you have to be a certain kind of person to want to stay in a hotel where Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols allegedly stabbed his girlfriend Nancy to death before later dying of a heroin overdose. Or, for that matter, the place where the poet Dylan Thomas spent his final hours. Either of those little bits of knowledge would probably be enough to put you off, but it's also considered to be one of the most haunted places in New York. And one of the most famous ghosts is that of Mary, a survivor of the Titanic. After the disaster, Mary became very depressed and hung herself in her room on the 5th floor. These days, she's often seen in the western end of the building under a specific archway so she can look at herself in the mirror. Hence her nickname, the Vain Ghost. A spooky colleague of Mary's is Nadia, often referred to as the Severed Hand Ghost, due to her cutting off her hand with a pair of scissors before jumping out of the window. That must be one hell of a pair of scissors.
Exactly.
Number 13.
No. What? Okay, first of all, these people, that was their choices to do those types of things. I mean, I don't understand how it's a scary place to stay the night. Yeah. I mean, unless you have that in mind, which I hope you don't. But anyways, yeah, I would stay there.
The Langham Hotel, London. If you fancy having a chat with Napoleon III, then you'd think a graveyard in Paris would be a good call. But no, apparently a hotel in London is by far the best place to go. The Langham is one of the largest and best-known traditional-style grand hotels in London, so it's probably a very nice place to stay. Well, if you don't mind the occasional horrific ghostly presence or two. Apart from the aforementioned Napoleon III, whose ghost tends to hang around the basement, there's a ghost with a gaping wound in his face who haunts the corridors. A German prince who jumped to his death sometime before World War I, a ghostly butler still trying to attend his guests, and perhaps the most commonly seen spook, the man in Victorian evening wear in room 333, who was supposedly a doctor who killed his wife just before killing himself. There have even been accounts from reliable sources, such as a BBC journalist who stayed at the hotel and the entire England cricket team. So maybe you should check out those TripAdvisor reviews one more time.
I would definitely go to this one. It looks fancy.
Number 12. Oakley Court, Windsor, UK. If you were part of the generation that grew up watching Hammer horror films, those classic old movies, often featuring Christopher Lee as Dracula and Peter Cushing as Frankenstein, then the fact that Oakley Court was used as a backdrop for many of these films would be enough to send a cold shiver down your spine. On the other hand, there are plenty of non-cinematic horrors to be found too. In the 1960s and 70s, the hotel had a reputation for being evil, with ghostly hooded figures being spotted all over the place. And when the place was temporarily converted into apartments, residents would regularly report strange noises coming from unoccupied rooms. When you combine this with a series of accidental drownings, not only inside the building but outside in the Thames, the reaction from tenants has become a bit more understandable. Some of them thought that the Hammer horror movies which had been filmed there had invoked something evil, and now that it's been converted back into a hotel, that evil still apparently remains. Weirdly cold rooms, ghostly presences, cats with broken necks being found outside. Yeah, it sounds like a lovely place to spend a relaxing weekend.
I don't think I would go to this one. I don't know how I could deal with seeing the cats with their necks like that. Nope. Can't. Not me, not this one.
Number 11. Russell Hotel, Sydney. Sydney, Australia. What a city. The Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, and the ghosts of sailors who've been murdered by sex workers. Yeah, the Russell Hotel is known locally as a great place to go for cocktails and for the professionalism of its friendly staff. But as we've already mentioned, the place definitely has a dark, spooky side, which is a product of its equally dark history. You see, you only ever encounter the most famous resident of the Russell Hotel if you're a woman and you're sleeping on your own, which is no doubt something they definitely avoid mentioning in the brochure.
Yikes.
Not only did the building used to be a hospital, which would have seen its fair share of deaths, but it was also a sailor's hostel and unofficial brothel, where one particular sailor was murdered in room 8 by a sex worker. His spirit still hangs around that same room, so if you are a woman traveling on your own, then it just might be best to avoid room 8, and maybe give room 7s and 9 a miss too, just to be on the safe side. Number 10. Dragsholm Castle, Denmark. If you're planning on visiting Denmark, then Dragsholm Castle is a great place to stay. Well, as long as you don't mind being terrified to within an inch of your life by a lingering bishop, an unearthly earl, and 2 ghostly women of a white and gray variety. According to the mediums who visit this place, there are 4 active spirits, all of which we've just mentioned, but there are rumored to be literally hundreds of the things floating around harassing innocent guests. So we're going to focus on the top 4. There's the lingering bishop, otherwise known as the Bishop of Roskilde, who was imprisoned in Dragsholm when the king challenged the power of the church. Today, the prison cells are now modern hotel rooms, and guests have reported moaning and wailing coming from the hallways. The Earl of Bothwell, 3rd husband of Mary, Queen of Scots, was also imprisoned here, chained up and left to die, which might be why guests claim to see him in the courtyard, or hear the horse's hooves as he rides his ghostly carriage around. The White Lady was also imprisoned at the castle and left to die by her own father, while the Grey Lady simply died of a tooth infection after taking a painkiller. The White Lady is a pretty standard tragic ghost, of course, whereas the Grey Lady wanders around doing good deeds and helping those who work there. Yeah, I think I know which one I'd prefer to meet.
I feel like, they're just haunting people because they cannot just fathom the fact that these peasants are in their courtyard. They just cannot deal with that. So, of course, they have to haunt everybody.
Number 9. Nottingham Road Hotel, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. If you stay in the popular Noddy's Hotel, then you'll be delighted with the service you receive. Your sheets will be regularly straightened.
I don't like that hotel.
Will be put neatly away. The flowers will be arranged daily. The only problem is that all of this will be done by a dead woman who threw herself off the balcony of room 10. The Noddies recently celebrated its centenary anniversary, so it must certainly have seen its share of tragedies and horrors over the years, but this hotel seems to have one specific ghost in the form of Charlotte. According to legend, Charlotte was a chambermaid or a lady of loose morals, depending on which version of the story you hear.
Now I
took
get
her
it.
own life after being jilted by a lover. There are some versions of the story, however, that claim she was pushed, but if that was the case, would she really be as gentle and helpful as she's turned out to be in the afterlife? Or would she be more likely to trash the place? Yeah, I think we know the answer.
I don't know. I don't believe any of this.
Number 8. The Black Monarch Hotel, Colorado. No matter which room you book at the Black Monarch Hotel, you're pretty much guaranteed to have sleepless nights, horrific nightmares, and encounter the kind of terror that's bound to give you lasting psychological effects for the rest of your life. Yeah, sounds great. Like many hotels, the Black Monarch has its share of ghost sightings, strange sounds, moving objects, figures seen in windows, etc. But when it comes to scariness, it's the decor we want to focus on. As you enter the Black Monarch, you'll be greeted by a huge growling wolf, along with black walls, black ceilings, stuffed animals, skulls, and a library with titles like Carnal Crimes, Diseases of Children, and The History of the Devil.
Now, who in the world would want to stay here even for one night? I don't think so. I would never go to this place. Has anybody been here?
In addition to this, each room has a macabre theme. One of them is named for the World's Fair serial killer H.H. Holmes and decorated with pictures of the human anatomy and various instruments of torture.
What in the
There's
world?
the Elizabeth Bathory Room, dedicated to the Hungarian countess who bathed in her victim's blood, featuring a sculpture of her surrounded by skulls on spikes. Oh, and the Witchcraft Room, which is full of pentagrams and goat skulls, all designed to ensure a good night's sleep. Number 7. The Bell, Norfolk, England. Now, I think it's fair to say that hotels are very much the place to go if you're considering having an extramarital affair. But while many affairs come to end pretty quickly...
Wait a minute. What? Let's go back. I need to hear that one more time.
I think it's fair to say that hotels are very much the place to go if you're considering having an extramarital affair.
No.
While many affairs come to end pretty quickly, or at least as soon as the people in question get caught, some affairs go on for
You're done, buddy.
eternity, especially when there's a grisly murder involved. The ghost of Betty Radcliffe, for instance, is clearly no hurry to leave the place. Betty, who is supposedly one of the previous owners of the Bell, is said to still be hanging around in room 29, while her ghostly lover still inhabits room 30. So once again, if you are thinking of checking into the Bell, then those are the rooms to avoid. You see, after a heated argument, Betty's lover pushed her out of the window, killing her instantly, and ever since, the staff have reported a variety of odd occurrences. Staff have seen the chandelier in room 30 start swinging of its own accord, heard voices, and seen hooded figures wandering the corridors. Room 29 isn't much better, as guests have reported feelings of not being alone, not to mention the curtains being drawn by ghostly hands and the pillows moving on their own. Oh, and there are also 2 spirit dogs by the fireplace in the main bar. But then everyone likes dogs, right? Right? Number 6. Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, Los Angeles. It makes perfect sense that a hotel in Hollywood would be haunted by ghosts that are a lot more famous than the average spook. Over the years, visitors have been terrified by the ghostly presence of a variety of dead film stars, including Marilyn Monroe, Montgomery Clift, and Errol Flynn.
Now, I'm pretty sure almost everybody that is a fan of Marilyn Monroe has booked a stay at this hotel just to have a visit from her. I mean, who wouldn't, right?
Flynn, who was no doubt seen swinging from a chandelier or having an energetic sword fight with a bad guy
Swinging
ghost.
from a chandelier.
Marilyn, however, is one of the hotel's most spotted ghosts, with guests frequently seeing her in the mirror and others claiming that she still haunts her old stomping ground of room 1200. Montgomery Clift, on the other hand, is seen to be a bit of a problematic ghost, as he's known for patting guests' shoulders and carefully watching the maids in room 928, which is creepy in more ways than one. In addition to this, there's the Blossom Room, where the first ever Oscar ceremony was held, and from which ghosts in evening dress have been seen coming and going. Make sure you take your ghostly pen so you can collect some undead autographs. Number 5. Chateau Marmont, Los Angeles. This is an equally famous LA hotel with an equally famous ghost, star of the original Saturday Night Live cast along with smash hit movies Animal House and The Blues Brothers. Hell-raising actor John Belushi is said to walk the corridors of this place in a ghostly form. The hotel is known as both a short and long-term residence for celebrities who are either on their way up or on the way down, and over the years has been the setting for various meltdowns, affairs, and a variety of other hedonistic activities. In fact, it was here that John Belushi died after a fatal overdose in bungalow number 3, and if you believe the stories, he's still raising hell there even to this day. One account, for instance, involves a family who were staying at the chateau back in 1999 and would hear their toddler laughing to himself alone at night. When they asked him why, he said, "The funny man." Later on, when his mother was looking through a book of previous guests, the boy saw a photo of Belushi, pointed at him, and again said, "The funny man." Ooh, that's creepy. Number 4. Cecil Hotel, Los Angeles.
Wait a minute. Why is it almost all of these are in Los Angeles? What is going on right now? Why are they haunted? And why are they still open? I mean, obviously, yeah, to make money, but still, isn't it dangerous?
This is another LA hotel, but there are no celebrity hauntings in this one. In fact, there are no hauntings at all, but then this place doesn't need ghosts to be considered scary.
Oh.
Things that go on in this place are far more terrifying than simple ghosts, monsters, and demons. In fact, even the undead refuse to stay at this place, or at the very least give it a terrible review on TripAdvisor once they've left. Situated in downtown LA, in the heart of Skid Row, this place is just dangerous, plain and simple. It certainly has a checkered history. Suicides, unexplained deaths, murders, rape, theft, drug-related activity, prostitution, all of these things and more have occurred at the Cecil over the years. But there are certainly some highlights which caught the public imagination. Take serial killer Richard Ramirez, for instance, otherwise known as the Night Stalker, who carried out his killing spree while staying at the Cecil. Or the tragic case of Eliza Lamb, which has been extensively covered online, who drowned at the Cecil in very mysterious circumstances. If you want to spend a few nights sleeping with one eye open, then this is the hotel for you. Number 3. Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, Mumbai. When it comes to haunted hotels, this one certainly sticks out, mainly because it's haunted by the guy who designed it. And believe me, this is one seriously annoyed dead architect. He even takes it out on the guests and staff. Despite being an opulent waterfront hotel, the Taj Mahal Palace has a bit of a dark history. Since its opening in 1903, it's been used as a World War II military hospital, and in 2008 was the target of a vicious terrorist attack leading to 137 deaths, which is scary enough on its own, of course, but it's the ghost of the dead architect which really freaks me out. After approving blueprints for the place, W.A. Chambers took a short trip to the UK, but on his return, he was appalled to find out that the hotel had been built facing the opposite way to which he intended. Rumored to be a serious perfectionist, this was far too much for Chambers, and it ate away at him until he finally committed suicide by jumping.
Wait a second. Now, it's not funny, but he took it so seriously that he took his own life because it was facing the wrong direction. That makes literally no sense at all. Something else was going on with him.
From the 5th
and that
floor.
was the end.
Then, Chambers has been said to be constantly looking after the hotel, with many staff and guests claiming to have seen him, heard him, or even been physically assaulted by him. So if you're planning to book this place, then it might be worth taking your proton pack along. Number 2. Hotel del Coronado, San Diego. Our next hotel is haunted by a kind, gentle variety of ghosts, so much so that the room in which she stayed is the most requested one in the hotel. Well, everyone's different, of course, but nice ghost or not, you couldn't get me within 1,000 miles of that room. Kate Morgan checked into the Hotel del Coronado on Thanksgiving Day, unhappy and alone. It was later found out that she'd traveled there by train with a male companion who had abandoned her on her route, and so 5 days later she ventured into San Diego, bought a handgun, and took her own life in her room. Since that time, guests have reported flickering lights in her third-floor guest room, a TV that turns itself on and off, items moving on their own accord, doors opening and closing, cold breezes, footsteps, voices, the whole ghostly package. Kate has even been seen in locations as diverse as the hotel hallways, the seashore, and even the gift shop, no doubt picking up some souvenirs for when she finally decides to head on to the afterlife.
I need proof. Like, he could say all of these stories all he wants to, but I need proof that somebody has actually seen these things in these hotels. If you have ever gone to any one of these hotels, Let me know in the comments below, and let me know, please, have you seen anything? Because I'm trying to decide if I'm actually going to go and take a look for myself.
Number 1. Frying Pan Tower, North Carolina. So we've talked a lot about ghosts and suicides and murder and crime in general, but perhaps the scariest of all hotels on our list is one that's completely free of ghosts and utterly crime-free, although that certainly doesn't make it any less scary. The Frying Pan Tower is a metal structure located in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, 32 miles away from the nearest land. It was built by the U.S. Coast Guard and was originally a lighthouse to warn ships of shallow waters. Due to modern GPS systems, however, these kinds of things became obsolete, so it obviously made perfect sense to convert it to a hotel. Or maybe not. Because the Frying Pan Tower is known far and wide as the most dangerous hotel in the world. The remote location, the shark-infested waters, the unpredictable weather, not to mention the seriously worrying metal structure itself, which is now decades old and desperately in need of renovation. All of these things add up to one incredibly scary experience for anyone insane enough to book a room there. Named after the nearby Frying Pan Shoals, which was considered a major threat to ships in the past, Frying Pan Tower sadly doesn't have a resident ghost, mainly because no self-respecting ghost would be crazy enough to haunt somewhere as remote and potentially dangerous as this. Even if they did want to haunt it, they'd have to get there via helicopter or schooner and pay $598 for a 2-night stay. Truly terrifying.
All right, y'all, sign me up. How is this number 1? And this is one that I would actually stay in. I mean, did you see all of the lead paint just peeling off the walls? Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.